Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, I wanted to make a quick video to basically follow up on the new Illinois indictment for R. Kelly. I think it's basically called a superseding indictment. And one of the things I noticed is that even New York has a superseding indictment for R. Kelly. So this is something a little confusing to me as to why they rewrite the indictments. I think there could be a possibility of several reasons. And up front, I'm just going to tell you I haven't done much research and I've been pressed for time. I have a lot of real life stuff going. So right now, I'm just really going to speculate as to why they're doing this. And of course, one of my first guesses is that they don't have all their ducks in a row or they don't have the story straight. So what they do is they take the story as they have it and then they basically put it together in a rush situation and then they filed that indictment even though they may not have all the ducks in a row. The second theory on why they have written so many indictments or a superseding indictment is because maybe they've gone over their strategy and they believe something is wrong with the strategy, or they think that the strategy is not going to be effective. So they have to go back and they have to redraw their battle plans and figure out what they want to keep in the original strategy and what they want to throw out. And the third reason could be a combination of both one and two. So now you've watched, or you've probably already watched the first video in this series. And at the end of that video, the commentator talks about why they possibly threw out the second victim. And they speculated that maybe there was problems with the testimony. So honestly, I don't know who these victims are. There's a lot of speculation all over the internet, all over the YouTube as who the victims are. But one victim they threw out, I believe, in the other video is minor two, and that person was alleged to have been 17 years of age. So I'm trying to figure out who that person is. I've never tried to figure out who these people were to begin with, but now it becomes really puzzling as to who that person was because that possibly can give you some insight on how R. Kelly can actually win this thing. So leave your questions and comments below if you know or you believe you know who the minor two was, because I would really like to get, or I would really like to hear some theories as to who that person was. And then, of course, they've added another person all the way down in count 13. Let's see if I can quickly get there. They have added, did I count 6, 9, 10, 11. So they've added a person, right? And basically, this is going to be minor 6. This is minor 6, and it goes on to read special May 2019 grand jury further charges beginning from approximately 1997 and continue to approximately December 2000 at Chicago in the Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division. Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, defended herein using the mail or any facility and means of interstate and foreign commerce did knowingly persuade, induce, entice, and coerce any individual, namely minor 6, who had not attained the age of 18 to engage in sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense, namely aggravated criminal sexual abuse in violation of Title 720 Illinois Compiled Statute Section 51216D, in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 2422B. So if you want to know what this code is, you can go back and you can watch the first video that I did on these series. And well, not the first video in this series, but I did another series that breaks down the Illinois federal indictment for R. Kelly. And in that video series, I actually go through all the actual criminal codes that he's being indicted for. And I believe I also briefly cover some of these codes in a video series that's actually called The Amount of Time R. Kelly May Get, or Reviewing the Time R. Kelly May Get, or something of that nature. I can't remember exactly. So getting back to the point. So now I'm trying to figure out who this second victim is, or victim minor number 6. It doesn't actually give an age, and it just says that the person was under 18 years of age, but it doesn't look like they actually give the minor's age at this time. So I'm actually wondering, could it possibly be Azriel Clary? And I'm not, I'm basically speculating here. I'm speculating, trying to figure out, could this new person be Azriel Clary? Of course, everybody's heard the reports that she's now cooperating with the feds, and she's also doing news interviews. So I'm wondering, could it possibly be Azriel Clary? Leave your questions, comments below. Let me know why you think it's her, why you think it's not her. I want to hear from you. And then, of course, they're alleging that something else is new, but it's actually not new. It's new information, or maybe an update. So maybe it's fair. It's an update. And that's this section here, Title 18, United States Code, Section 2428. The property to be forfeited includes, but is not limited to, a personal money judgment in the amount of at least approximately $1,554,748, and all right, title, and interest in stock, and all ownership interest in Base Productions Ltd. and Winkler and McDavid Ltd. in whatever form held by the defendants, right? So it looks to me, if I'm reading this correctly and understanding it correctly, they are trying to get a personal money judgment against R. Kelly, and they're also trying to get a company from both R. Kelly and Daryl McDavid, right? So the reason I say this isn't new, because if you go back to the very first video series that I did that looks at the federal indictment against R. Kelly, they actually have a section that talks about confiscating R. Kelly's resources. However, this one appears to be more specific. I don't know. I'm guessing here, maybe they went and looked at all of his accounts, and this could possibly be the amount of money that he has in all of his accounts total. And perhaps they've already seized that fund in anticipation of winning, because the government does things like this. The government will take something and then file a indictment, or they'll file a motion or court order to be heard at a later time, but they're taking it now up front. So it's possibly that they've already seized this money. And of course, the strategy behind this is, you want, or R. Kelly won't be able to afford his legal fees and come up with a strategy if this money is locked down. It's going to make it very difficult for him to continue and proceed forward in this case if he doesn't have access to his resources. I'm not saying that they've already seized it, but I believe they would have, because this is the typical type of shenanigans the government does. They take it first, and then they file a court order, or they file a proceeding to ask a judge to grant it to them. So that's my belief. So that's pretty much it for this video. Please leave your questions and comments below. Do you think minor 6 is Azriel Clary? If so, why? Do you think minor 2 could have been Azriel Clary, and maybe Azriel Clary had a change of heart, so they pulled out? At any rate, let me know who you think minor 2 and 6 is. Leave your questions, comments below.